What a headshot! What a head!
How's it, guys? This is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video, I'm going to take you guys through my team selection for the upcoming Double Game Week 26. So Double Game Week 26, a massive double game week. I'm pretty sure the hype is going to be there for this upcoming game week. And what does FPL go and do, or the FPL world or universe? They throw a couple of spanners in the works with the Jota injury, and the chips and hits are absolutely flying. But don't worry, we're going to be going through every possible scenario, including my own chip strategy a little bit later in the video. I'm going to start off the team selection like I usually do, with taking a reflection on Double Game Week 25 and see how we did. And then I'm going to shift the attention to the transfer plan as well as my chip strategy right at the end. So that's something you guys are interested in. Sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. So going over the Double Game Week 25 team review, as we always do, going to kind of look back on the past before we make our future decisions. But luckily, Game Week 25 was actually quite kind to us, especially a little bit later on into the game week. As you guys know, Bruno Fernandes kind of scoring that last minute goal. But thanks to that last minute goal, we managed to get a slight green arrow of about 200 places to 8.5k. So I think for the first time this entire season, for 2 consecutive game weeks, we managed to stay in the top 10k, which I'm super happy about, and hopefully we can stay in it from now till game week 38. But let's first talk about the bench as we usually do, and the reason we don't have much to talk about here is that Ben White didn't have a fixture in game week 25, Cancelo was benched as maybe expected against Norwich, and then Douglas Luiz and Foster got 2 points and 1 point only. So I think the only kind of a big talking point was going to be Cancelo. We did have an expectation of him being benched along with KDB, and that actually became a reality. Made sense in terms of the perspective of games for Man City. We saw a couple of days ago them absolutely obliterate Sporting, I think 5-0 at the end of that Champions League round of 16 game. So it looked to be a good decision there, but at least we were kind of prepared for the possibility of him being on the bench. But now going on to our starting defense, with Cancelo out, we did have a Soufal off the bench. I actually did play a Cucurella, Trent, and then also David De Gea obviously over Ben Foster. David De Gea with a lovely 10 points, conceding in the first game of Double Game Week 25. But luckily against Brighton, after them getting sent off, the clean sheet was pretty secured, and I think he did rack up a couple bonus points as well. So finally, David De Gea and United did keep a clean sheet. I'm pretty sure those of you who did own a Delo or Delot, however you want to pronounce it, were quite happy with them keeping the clean sheet, but at least we did have one United defender. Soufal returned only 1 point after a relatively tough afternoon. He was kind of getting rocked quite a bit in that fixture, and he was actually subbed on about the 70-minute mark, so might offer some rotation in the future, but I do still think he's West Ham's first choice fullback, and even though he did only score 1 point, we might still rely on him for the future game weeks. Cucurella and Brighton overall only keeping 1 clean sheet against Watford, but I do think that was kind of the expectation. That's why I did bring him in, because that potential of a clean sheet against Watford was quite high, and against United might have been a little bit unlucky, but as a Bruno Fernandes owner, was quite happy that they didn't keep a clean sheet. Trent, the last player there, picking up yet another clean sheet, no bonus points, no kind of attacking returns. Was a relatively boring game against Burnley, but I was happy with him getting a defensive return. But now going on to our midfield department, and this is definitely where the magic happened, starting off with the magical player Jarrod Bowen, picking up a massive 13-point haul in West Ham's game. So goal, assist, and maximum bonus points for Jarrod Bowen, probably the most informed player in the Prem at the current moment, and you guys will see when we talk about our Game Week 26 team, probably going to be my only single Game Week player that I would potentially start. Jota with only 1 point after coming off as a substitute, but that Burnley game was quite boring, as you would have seen with Mo Salah there. Mo Salah actually played the entire game but only racked up 3 points, as that game was a little bit cagey. But Jota, perfectly fine with him. I thought that he did have the rest, not through kind of rotation, but because he had a dead leg in training, but came off the bench for only 1 point. Salah was actually one of our transfers in along with Cucurella. I took out Kevin De Bruyne for Mo Salah just because I thought that Kevin De Bruyne would actually be benched for that Norwich game. Took a little bit of a punt, it managed to pay off, but unfortunately Mo Salah didn't get any attacking returns. Came close maybe 1 or 2 times, but overall was a little bit non-existent in that fixture. As I said, Burnley were quite defensively assured. But the final player, and the reason we got a green arrow, was going to be Bruno Fernandes picking up a massive last minute goal and securing the maximum bonus points in that Brighton game. The first game didn't really do too much, but I mean, he did enough to get us a captaincy return, which took us to 24 points, 12 doubled. Now, Bruno Fernandes actually had a couple of chances in that Brighton game, a couple of assists to Ronaldo that were a little bit unfortunate not to be scored, and he also had that massive one-on-one chance that he managed to hit straight at Sanchez. But luckily, at the end of the game, Pogba hit a through ball, and he ran the whole half length of the pitch to slot it in after doing a nice little fake. So lucky, definitely, but I'm always going to take that from my captain, and that did take us to a green arrow. But finally, not so lucky, the forwards yet again showing why they're not worth their value this current season. We've got Dennis with 1 point, Josh King with 2, and then finally Antonio with 2 points as well. It's a little bit worrying to me about this Watford double up, but at least they do have a double game week. Not really expecting too much there, as I think Watford currently are the lowest scoring team in the top 5 leagues. Just shows you the difference between Antonio and Bowen. Bowen racking up 13 points and Antonio only getting appearance points. So honestly, I don't really know what's happened with Antonio. West Ham are playing semi-fine, but his form has completely gone down the drain after racking up most points in the first 3 game weeks of the season. So overall, pretty happy with the performance. I think we ended on about 70 points, which was a green arrow, as I mentioned, of about 200k places. Let me know in the comments down below how you guys got on, how many points did you manage to rise, and if you did get a red arrow, how are you going to address it heading into game week 26. So now that we have spoken about the double game week 25 team, let's turn our attention to the double game week 26 team. And what I like to do is always give you guys some context and some background of what I'm currently dealing with before we talk about the transfer plan. So let's start off with my current bench for double game week 26, and I think this is going to be quite a hot topic because lots of people are considering the triple captain versus the bench boost. So currently this is my bench. You guys can see David De Gea against Leeds, Cucurella against Burnley, Soufal against Newcastle, then finally Douglas Luiz against Watford. Now right off the bat, I'm going to tell you guys that I won't be using my bench boost this week, as I just don't have much of an expectation for points coming from these 4 players. So yes, David De Gea against Leeds could be a clean sheet, but Leeds are always a side that sometimes like to attack, and I think this game is going to be quite an open one, and I think it's going to favour the attacks of both sides. So David De Gea, yes, he could get a clean sheet, could get a couple of saves there, but I don't have too much hope in that. Cucurella against Burnley, probably the best chance of points on my bench. I do think that could be a clean sheet for Brighton, but Burnley have also picked it up from an attacking side of things, and they might also score in that one. Finally, Soufal against Newcastle. Now, if you guys did watch the game in Game Week 25, Soufal was being burnt quite a bit, and just imagine what St. Maxim or Gucci's going to do against him, and that's even if he does start. So Soufal could get rotated, and that's why it's a bit of a rotation risk there. And then finally, Douglas Luiz, the 2-point merchant, not going to get me any more than that. And that's why, even though it is a Watford fixture, which is a pretty good one, I think I won't be bench boosting. But you guys can let me know in the comments down below. Are you guys bench boosting? Are you using the triple captain? I've seen some massive benches there that I definitely would bench boost. But now that we've got the bench out the way, let's go to the starting 11 where we have some relatively good fixtures here. Going to start off with the defensive side of things where we do have 3 double game week players. The first one, Ben Foster, which might be a little bit controversial considering the fact that Watford defensively are absolutely terrible. So I don't really know what I'm kind of hoping for here. Maybe a clean sheet, maybe from one of the games, or maybe just some save points. But I do think Foster's ceiling is slightly higher than David De Gea against Leeds. Now Aston Villa's side that just lost to Newcastle, maybe there could be a clean sheet there for one of the relegation sides. Crystal Palace as well, I don't really think there's too much hope there, but maybe he can rack up some save points. I just hope that Foster starts both of them. But now we go into things that look a little bit easier. We've got Ben White with Brentford at home and Wolves at home. Probably my second favourite fixtures for double game week 26, and I really am happy that I own an Arsenal defender because I do think they have the best chance of getting 2 clean sheets. So yes, Ben White might not offer the most attacking threat. I don't actually think he's scored a Premier League goal in his history, so maybe this could be one of those good luck game weeks and he does get his first goal of his career. Going on to Cancelo against Spurs, and this might be a little bit more of a controversial one. I do think I favour Cancelo just because Man City's defence is the best in the Prem at the moment, and Cancelo does always offer that attacking threat. Now, after coming back from that loss against Wolves, I think that Spurs are going to look to rebound, but Man City might not be the game for that, and they might focus on the second game, which is against Burnley. Then go on to our final player, Trent Alexander-Arnold, an absolute no-brainer there. The best double game week in double game week 26. Norwich at home and Leeds at home, simply outstanding. And while I don't really think there might be a double clean sheet, Trent always does offer that attacking threat. So the defense does look quite strong. I mean, Cancelo could always be replaced by Cucurella, and maybe De Gea comes in for Ben Foster. But now going on to our midfield department, and we'll go from left to right. The talking points are increased from left to right. The fixtures also do increase with Bowen only having a single game week against Newcastle. Now yes, Newcastle have actually improved defensively, but Jared Bowen's form is just too hard to ignore, and that's why I definitely will be starting him in my starting 11. I'm going to then touch on Bruno Fernandes because he also is a single game week player. After some good run of form, or at least some good stats in that Brighton game, I'm really confident with keeping him and playing him against the lead side that can't really defend at the moment. So I think I might be one of the lucky ones that actually does have Bruno and Salah both in my team already, and that's why I don't think there's any need to get rid of Bruno for this upcoming game week. But now going on to the Liverpool assets, and the first one's going to be Diego Jota, and news has come about of a potential injury last night against Inter Milan. So Diego Jota was substituted at half-time, and Klopp came out and said after the game that he has rolled his ankle and they're going to be looking at an assessment for him to see how long he's going to be missing. There has been a rumor about 2 weeks being off, but I think that you might as well just wait for Klopp tomorrow and get the official news. But now going on to Mo Salah, who will be our triple captain for this upcoming game week. I'm going to touch on my chip strategy later on, but I do think I'm going to triple captain or use the triple captain chip this week just because those fixtures are too hard to ignore for the chip. I think Mo Salah will play the majority of minutes. Now, while he might not play 180 minutes, I do think he'll get the majority of them, and that's enough for me to put the triple captaincy on him. Now, I can understand the appeal of a Trent, but like I said yesterday in the Ultimate Guide, I don't really favor the defense in these two fixtures, and I definitely prefer the attack. So while I haven't activated the triple captaincy yet, I definitely will before the deadline, and that's what I'm going to be doing for Double Game Week 26. And in the final department, probably going to be quite a lackluster. I'm expecting 4 points at least from Dennis and Josh King. Hopefully no yellow cards there. But Aston Villa and Crystal Palace, maybe they could squeak a goal, maybe a penalty there, and that'll bring me more than enough luck. And then finally, alongside Jared Bowen, I've got Antonio, but his form is really depleted at the moment, and I don't have much faith in him getting any points. So overall, guys, you can see that the team is looking pretty average. We've got some great options here. I'm just hoping that the triple captain can edge us on to another green arrow. Let me know in the comments down below, what are you guys using? Are you using the bench boost or triple captain? How's the team looking? And what transfers are you currently thinking about? But now that we've spoken about the teams, I'm going to talk about my updated chip strategy. And as I mentioned in the Game Week 26 team selection, I'm going to be using the triple captain on Mo Salah. So yes, the bench boost might be tempting for some people, but for my own team, I really do think the triple captain's better, and that's how I'm going to be going for it. But now we get on to the little bit of a more sticky situation on what to do after that. So currently, I only have one free hit left. I have a bench boost and a wild card if I use the triple captain in Double Game Week 26. So my original plan was to use the free hit in Game Week 30. As you guys know, that's going to be a massive blank game week, but now I actually might be changing my mind. So to kind of illustrate what I'm talking about, I decided to include a very good image from Mikel Tokvam. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. I do apologize, Mikel, if I'm not, but he does have a Twitter account and a Patreon called The Transfer Algorithm, and this season he's been posting these kind of predictions for blanks and doubles. Now the image on your screen has come straight from his Twitter account, so shout out to him. Make sure you guys drop him a follow, really good information. But what he basically has done here is he's shown the predictions of doubles and blanks from now to the end of the season. So how you guys can kind of read this is that a 1.00 means that that fixture is confirmed to be a single game week. Anything less than that, so 0.5, means that there's a 50% chance of blanking. And then anything more than that means that it's going to be a double game week. Now if it is a 2.00, that means it's a confirmed double game week. As you guys can see in Double Game Week 26 and 27, Burnley have a double in both of those, and that's why it shows 2.0. Then on the right hand side, you can see a summation of how many games teams still have to play from now to the end of the season, Burnley being the top team with 17, and West Ham, Brentford United, and City only having 13. Now you guys can pause the video right now or go check out Mikel's Twitter account for this image, but the team that I want to focus on is going to be Arsenal. So don't worry, you don't have to kind of search for them. I've highlighted them on your screen, kind of the fifth team from the top. But the reason I want to talk about Arsenal is that you can see in Game Week 26, we already spoke about it, a massive double game week against Brentford and Wolves at home, but then they're blank in Game Week 27. But then if you guys cast your eyes to Game Week 28, they have a real chance of getting a double game week, and that double game week will be against Chelsea. Now I know that's not the best fixture in the world against Chelsea, probably almost a single game week for that, but it is an extra 2 or 3 points depending on the position. But the really nice thing about Arsenal is that if you cast your eyes to Game Week 30 or blank Game Week 30, you can see that they do still have a fixture. Now currently there's not many teams that actually have fixtures in a blank Game Week 30, but we'll kind of talk about that a little bit later on when these FA Cup games have been confirmed or the results have been confirmed, because that'll clear the picture for blank Game Week 30. But what this is kind of making me change my mind about is when to use the free hit. So my current thinking is that I could potentially use it in blank Game Week 27 and stack up on Arsenal assets this week because they don't blank in Game Week 30. The nice thing about Arsenal as well is that they have 16 games left to be played from now to the end of the season, which is basically the second highest out of any team. Now why this chip strategy is so integral to my transfers this week is that it's going to be the decider between me bringing in Arsenal assets and me going for some other options, especially for blank Game Week 27 and blank Game Week 30. So yes, I will update you guys on my chip strategy probably in the deadline stream where I will do the moves and you guys will kind of know what plan I'm going for in that deadline stream. So now that we've spoken about the trip strategy and also my current team, I'm going to split the transfer plan into two different sections. The first section is going to be if Jota miraculously makes a recovery and maybe Jurgen Klopp tomorrow in the press conference says that he's raring to go. Was a little bit of a swollen ankle, but he'll be fine to play. So I'm going to talk about those transfers first. That's assuming Jota is fine. So if Jota is fine, the current team looks okay. The defense and the midfield looks quite strong, but the attack might be a little bit lackluster. And that's why the moves I might plan for double game week 26 is to take Antonio out with the free transfer, and his replacements will either be Lacazette or Weghorst. So now you guys can see why I was talking about my chip strategy, because if I do choose to free it in game week 27, I would bring Lacazette in because he blanks then, but otherwise I could always look at a Weghorst because he doubles in 26 and 27. Now I do have enough money to kind of upgrade Antonio to Lacazette, and Weghorst gives me a little bit more money to play in the bank, which will be quite nice with these transfers coming up. So as I mentioned earlier on, this is going to be the transfer if Jota is fine to play, but I kind of have in the back of my mind a little bit of doubt in that decision, but hopefully Klopp clears that up. But now going on to the transfers, if Jota is going to be missing, the current rumor is about 2 weeks, but as I've mentioned earlier on, I would wait for Jurgen Klopp's press conference tomorrow to get the official news, because that will give us quite a good insight into when we can expect him to be playing again. So if Jota's out, the replacements that I could make, the first one would be quite an interesting one. It's Heung-min Son that has a double game week in 26 against City and then Burnley, but also has a relatively nice game week at 27 fixture against Everton, where he might be the standout captain. So Son could be an option, but now we're seeing the chip strategy yet again, because if I do choose to free it in game week 27, I would bring Saka in for that lovely double against Brentford and Wolves. So currently Saka is my favorite option from that Arsenal attack. I think Lacazette is missing a bit of form, whereas Saka looks to be playing quite well and his stats look fine. That's going to be a tough debate to kind of go for, and that's why I'm hoping for maybe a little bit of clarity on my chip strategy before I make these transfers. But to afford Son, I would have to do a downgrade, and that would be Antonio to Broja from Southampton. So Broja doesn't have many doubles coming up, but he does have a fixture in game week 27 and then also potentially in game week 30, depending on how that FA Cup game goes. And then what would happen if I do lose Jota and bring in Saka, I'd have enough money to upgrade Cucurella or Soufal to Virgil van Dijk. Now this might be an interesting talking point, because why am I not going for Robertson if I can afford him? But I just think Tsimikas in the wing there could maybe get a game with the tough games coming up for Liverpool. Whereas Van Dijk, I think, is the most nailed player in that starting 11, and that's why I'm confident, and he always has a threat off those set pieces, which I hope Liverpool score. So why the last option is more attractive to me is that it allows me to triple up with Liverpool, who have the best double game week in 26, and also take advantage of those Arsenal fixtures from an attacking point of view. But yes, to kind of conclude the transfer plan, what I'm currently thinking of is either the chip strategy, going for the free in 27 or game week 30, and that will allow me to bring in Arsenal assets, or maybe bring in assets that don't blank in 27 and 30. But lastly, because there's been such a mess in terms of the transfer plan and the chip strategy, I wanted to give you guys a shout out, because by that game week 26 deadline, 1 hour before the deadline goes ahead, I will be streaming. Hopefully I do have some more clarity on that, and I can give you guys the most up-to-date transfer plan as possible. So make sure you guys are there, put my notifications on Twitter or on YouTube, because I do always announce when I do go live, and an added bonus is that you always will get notifications when I do release a video. But this is basically wrap up the video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy it. Please don't forget to like if you did, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. As I mentioned, I hope to see you guys in the deadline stream, but otherwise I'm going to sign you off. It's been Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers, bye.